down with first pitch. I mean, the man does not stop grinding. If anything, folks, give a like for Bryan here before you go check him out at wt.buzz/BL. But hey, across all sports, you know your dogs, man, and you're a similar bettor to me in that you love identifying those kind of spots because it's a great way. If you're managing your bankroll, all it takes is a couple plus money plays, and you're gonna be out ahead than if you're constantly eating chalk. When it makes sense, we do it. But Kansas City and Mets, Bry, I'm sure the Mets are wishing they could take some of those 16 runs that they had yesterday and bring them home to Citi Field, because 1-5 at home, outscored 26-13. Now Kansas City comes to town. Do you think the woes continue at home here for New York, or was the coming out party last night exactly what they needed?
Yeah, I think they needed that. They've got, if you take a look at a lot of the Mets players, they've got low BABIPs. They've been a little bit unlucky offensively. They've got too much talent to stay down that long. But I've been impressed by this Kansas City team. They've played very well. Offensively, I didn't think they had enough offensively, but they are the top of the lineups, really doing well. So I like the Royals in this situation. The Royals have made 2 under-the-radar signings in the offseason. I really like Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo, 2 pitchers that have been prone to the long ball in their careers. But as we know, Kansas City is a severe pitcher's park, with home runs being hardest to hit in the league. And while this game's on the road, this is also a stadium that doesn't give up a lot of home runs. In New York, it's more of a pitcher's tendency. And I think they're going to have some success here with Wacha going today. So I think it's a really good underrated signings for Kansas City. A lot is being made about, the big names out there. But if you could get a good starting pitchers based on your stadium, where they're going to pitch half of their games in that stadium, then you take your chances when you go on the road. But I like their chances again today. Luis Severino really fell off last year. His velocity was down, and he was tipping his pitches. While his fastball is still a weapon, his breaking pitches have really tailed off. According to Baseball Savant, his fastball has a 79 run value, but his breaking ball is at 8, and his off-speed value is at 7. So nobody in this league can win without complementary pitches, as everyone could tee off against the fastball. I think that's going to be the case for Kansas City. I think they knock Severino around. Both teams enter play on a positive, but we'd much rather back the Royals here to put runs on the board. And, when I set this over, got him as a nice underdog. I expect this to be a nice underdog till close to game time. I think money will come in on Kansas City, so get them now as we take the plus money with the rejuvenant Royals.
Yeah, and like you mentioned there, you're seeing some decent prices out there. Let's call the consensus plus 120. So yeah, some nice plus money price for both of these guys, fresh out of the gate here. 2 dogs. So we want to hear in the comments, whether you're watching us live or on the rewatch, hop below and let us know which dog you think is going to be winning outright. We got the Rangers eyed from our man Tokyo Brandon, and the Kansas City Royals on the road against the struggling at home New York Mets. That's the play for Bryan Leonard here, their big game breakdowns. Guys, we're going to get to some stuff here in the chat, but I guess just higher level. Bryan, you're talking, about how sometimes the pitchers really have an edge when they're there at Citi Field. How much, if at any, do you guys factor in weather forecasts into how you're looking at pitcher props? Obviously, totals is the one that people automatically think of. So as you're looking at pitching matchups, handicapping the games as a whole as well, because in LA at Boston, we got winds going out 20 miles per hour around that. In that Mets game, we got winds going out to left center at about 15 miles per hour. In the White Sox game, we're looking winds out dead center anywhere from 15 to 20 with higher wind gusts at that. And then in the Dodgers game that we're going to be talking about here a little later, winds out to left at about 10 miles per hour. So when you see these weather forecasts, especially wind, Bri, we'll start with you and you will get your thoughts then, TB. How much does that factor in as far as not just as a starting point, but just as you're trying to arrive on what your final play is in a game?
Yeah, most of the time it doesn't affect my side plays. It would affect totals, but it does affect how I'm going to play that, because if it is a game in which you're going to get, a lot of rain, for example, today, the Indians game's already rained out, the Guardians, whatever, but you got Minnesota and Detroit, Milwaukee and Baltimore who are in possible delays. Maybe I'm playing the first 5 innings as opposed to playing the full game, because once these guys start pitching, and let's say you're taking a dominant pitcher going, and he's going to go like 3 innings in the game, and then they have an hour rain delay, he might not be back again. So you have to take that into account when you are betting these. You definitely have to look to see if a game is going to be postponed, or not postponed, but at least delayed enough for the starting pitcher to be out. And then you always want to take a look at the back end of the bullpen in those situations. And we'll be talking about that in my best bet. I think that's something I think we'll all agree on, is you have to look at everything, because there's advantages to be had in every single game. You just got to pick out the right spots.
How about you, TB? When you see, 4 games potentially on the slate that have huge weather implications when you're talking about the wind, does that make you start looking towards any hitter props over? I know you have one that you'll be talking about here this evening, or does that just maybe bolster a handicap that you already had? Is it enough to keep you off a play, put you on a play? How does weather affect the way that you're handicapping games and player props?
Generally, it doesn't, because I'm on the other side of the world and I check the weather before I go to bed. But by the time I wake up, like right around now, it's already too late. So, there's a physical barrier there for me living on the other side of the world. However, I do factor in cold weather and hot weather as to whether hitting is going to heat up or not. So obviously we all know historically hot weather brings more home runs and long balls, and cold weather generally brings scores down. I'm not much of a totals better because I haven't had success at it career-wise, to be totally honest. So I don't do a lot of totals. And the way I see it is both teams are playing in the same weather, so it doesn't really affect a side total per se. So yeah, it doesn't make a huge factor into my cap. The only thing that does is cold or hot weather.
Yeah, I love that breakdown for sure. Hop below in the comments and let us know. I mean, even the comments were lining up before to tell us about the win. So I have some feeling there's some major discrepancy on how people maybe look at weather. The funny thing is, I just ran down the WagerTalk live odds screen just to look in these games that we do see wind and the wind going out. Was there anything notable on the total? And all of them, even if there's money going the other way, all of them at least seen the total tick up at least a half run. So this is information that if you think you're beating anybody, it's already priced into the market. So if you think you're, the wind's going out there, it's something that the odds makers are aware of as well. It's part of how they arrive at their numbers too. Guys, in the chat here, we just have a nice little shout out to our man TB. Nick with a bunch of eyes saying my bankroll has doubled thanks to TB. So you got your fans in the chat, and everybody, of course, is shouting out your ass man sign behind you. So people are loving what you're bringing here, TB. So even if you gotta wait, you're not. I mean, I love me some Seinfeld, but Curb Your Enthusiasm for me just edges it out, because it's like the R-rated Seinfeld. So it just ever so slightly edges it out for me.
We're gonna get the chat. We're gonna get the chat heated up here. But the best shows in TV history are in order: Seinfeld, Dallas, and The Sopranos. Period.
This seems like, Brian, this is more of a topic.
I'll pass on Dallas.
Really? Oh my God, J.R. Ewing. You got to go to YouTube and just type in J.R. Ewing one-liners. Oh my God, such a great show.
I was gonna say though, we've stumbled now, gentlemen. We've had a couple of shows on Wager Talk today without Prez, and we're starting to stumble into Prez territory, breaking down our favorite shows on the baseball show. So I'm gonna transition back here and swing it on back here to the chat. You're gonna be talking, Brian, in this Oakland A's game a little bit later in your best bet. We're asking in the chat, do the A's really have a chance to win as a favorite? He said, hey, I'm looking at the Nats potentially with the run line. So, Brian, I mean, we might as well get into that game right here. I know it is your best bet, and we'll still be rolling with some comments. Don't worry, folks. We're not getting out of here just yet. But it's going to be a weird atmosphere there in Oakland because this is going to be their first game home since they announced, hey, we're leaving town. We're going to go to Sacramento for a few years while we figure things out. And in the same breath, like the A's haven't really been as bad as they were supposed to be here to start the year. I mean, they're quietly on a nice little 4-2 run, shut out opponents twice in that span. So this game on paper, you would think Washington and Oakland, like, why are we even talking about it? It has some intrigue, in my opinion. And I feel like if it's your best bet, you think the same. So break down this one for us.
Yeah, it really does. And, when baseball is totally different than any other sport because you have 5 starting pitchers, 6 in some cases this year, and most teams have 10 starting pitchers as the season goes on. So you're not rolling out the same lineup as you would in an NBA game or in a football game or some other games. So the underdog is always live. We look at Blanco from the Houston Astros. Came out of nowhere and throw 15 innings, giving up 1 hit, no earned runs, and the guy's 30 years old. It's just that's the way baseball is, and you can get a hot pitcher at any time or hot hitting team at any time, and they can win. Which is why baseball and hockey are the two leagues where I excel in playing underdogs. Now, I'm not going to have an underdog in this one, and I'll tell you why. It should be a sizable starting pitcher advantage here for the A's. Jake Irvin enters play with a lot of blue on his StatCast page. His hard hit rate is at 50% with expected batting average of .319. That's not going to get it done. I don't care who you're playing or where you're playing at. Oakland answers with Paul Blackburn on the mound. His advanced numbers have been excellent. A 25.6 hard hit rate, which is about half of what Jake Irvin's is. And he also has a minuscule walk rate of 2.1%. He's not a guy that's going to strike out a lot of batters. So a lot of the guys that like to bet on that are not going to be backing him on the most days. But he's a veteran pitcher, and he keeps the opposition off balance. That's what you do. And considering the Nationals, obviously being in the National League and in the Oakland and the American League, these two teams don't play each other very often, and they rarely play in Oakland. The Nationals rarely face them, and they don't play in this stadium very often, which is a clear edge for Oakland because this stadium is unlike any other stadium in Major League Baseball based on all the foul territory here. And we see it time and time again where teams come into Oakland, they haven't played there very often, and they're at a major disadvantage. I expect a low-scoring affair here as both bullpens come in good shape. The back of the Nationals bullpen has had the last 2 days off, while none of the Angels bullpen has pitched back-to-back. Looking for a low-scoring game here. I know Oakland's favored. A lot of people don't like it when bad teams are favored. But if you go back and track, usually your teams that are bad, when they are favored, they do get the victories. I like Oakland in the full game here, but there's many ways to play this. You could play Oakland in the first 5 and take advantage of that starting pitcher advantage. You can also play Washington team total runs under. And I'm a fan of this Washington team. I think as the season goes on, we'll make a lot of money on them. But I don't like this spot in this game against this pitcher right here. And so I'll lay it with Oakland.
Oakland as a favorite, man, early on in the season, but a best bet on Oakland. Who would have thought it? Hop below in the comments. Let us know how you're looking to break that one down. But laying it with Oakland is the play for Bryan Leonard. You can check him out, wt.buzz/BL. Both of these guys, you can save over $150 on over a month of plays. You can get 37 days of action for under $6.50 a day. It's a special we have rocking. You can check out the other specials we have going at wt.buzz/deals. But TB, I want to get your thoughts here on the Padres and the Dodgers. We'll circle back with Brian because we have some folks asking in the chat as far as the side is concerned if there's a potential barking dog in this one. But for the Padres, the thing that stands out to me heading into this one is just how decent, or even more than decent, strong Michael King has been on the mound to start the season for them. But as you head into this one, sounds like you're not worried about pitching when the Dodgers host them tonight. At least you're not worried about pitching when one guy comes to the plate. What's the best bet player prop you have for the folks?
Well, Michael King's not really a surprise. I mean, he was really good for the Yankees. And when I did my preseason preview, I thought he would be their best rotation pitcher, even better than Darvish, perhaps, even better than Musgrove, perhaps. And Musgrove hasn't been performing well at all this season. Granted, it's only 2 or 3 starts, but yeah, I mean, King is doing pretty much exactly what I thought he would. I thought when the Yankees gave him up for Juan Soto, I thought he might regret that one because he was pretty much one of, well, I wouldn't say their only solid starting pitcher, but he was pretty solid. And it was pretty heavy price to pay, but Juan Soto is certainly paying dividends in the Big Apple right now. So let's go to the Dodgers here. And by the way, the WagerTalk odds screen is awesome. So if you guys haven't tried it out, go to wagertalk.com and click live odds. Every sport, yeah, right there, the screenshot, every sport. And when the odds change, you get a little color change there. So, you know, if you're into following who's betting what and where the money's going and things like that, it's all right there. So go check that out, by the way. So I have a 4% play today. Just promote myself real quick. 4% play today in Major League Baseball, but I have 2 plays here that I'm going to give out, and this is another one. I'm going to take Mookie Betts here. He's only the best player in baseball right now. He's only hit 5 home runs, the Major League leader in home runs. At least he was yesterday. I don't know if someone's passed him in the last day or so. At home, he's hitting 483, not bad. And against the San Diego Padres in the Korea series to start the season, the weird week before the actual season started, he had 9 at bats, 6 hits, a home run. You know, nothing special. He's just Mookie being Mookie, and I like to take his prop whenever I see hits, runs, RBIs 1.5 for Mookie Betts. I love to jump all over it because I like hits, runs, RBIs better than total bases, because if your batter walks with total bases, it's a lost at bat, and you only get 4 to 5 at bats per game. You don't want to lose one. That's 20% of your possibility to cash your prop. So anytime I see Mookie Betts runs, hits, RBIs, I like to take it over 1.5, and it is 1.5 today. With runs, hits, RBIs, if your batter walks, he can still get knocked in. And if Mookie Betts gets on base, what do you think the chances are he gets hit in by Ohtani or Freeman? Pretty high. You got 3 MVP candidates here. This is the best lineup I've seen since 1927, perhaps even better than the Bronx Bombers from 1927. Even if you look at their 4, 5, 6, 7, I mean, Teoscar Hernandez is batting like 7 in this lineup. I mean, are you kidding me? Just rich lineup full of guys. I mean, I'm not high on Max Muncy, but I think he's an inning killer. But besides him, these guys are all performing great. I mean, Max Muncy's doing all right as well. He's doing what he does. He strikes out or hits a home run. But Mookie Betts over 1.5 runs, hits, RBIs was -140 on DraftKings. I think that's huge value. You've got the leadoff hitter of the best lineup in MLB history. And anytime he gets on base, he has a chance to cash this prop.
When you put together a list of the best players, there are always some who seem too high and some who seem too low.
Looking at the man, Mookie Betts there in that one. What was that,
Mookie
TB?
to go over one. Yeah, I had some audio come in. Did you guys hear that? Sorry about that.
I heard the same thing.
I had it too. We had a little behind the scenes, but I thought they were backing up what you were saying when you're talking about some of the best people in the game. You're talking about Mookie Betts. I was like, is Tokyo Brandon doing a sound drop on us right here? Hey, it all bolsters that you're looking towards Mookie Betts tonight.
I certainly am. Over 1.5 runs, hits, RBIs. That's my best bet for today.
And as far as baseball player props go, it's really those the combined hit props that I really look at, because like Tokyo Brandon's talked about before, some of the times when you're looking at the home run prices, those nice plus money prices, I mean, you're really trying to find needle in a haystack. You know, you're trying to find plus money plays. This allows you to take a guy who might have a good night in different ways and not have to ISO yourself in. You know, he gets across with a run, you're going to be kicking yourself that you only bet RBIs. So at a nice price like that, something like that makes a heck of a lot of sense, right, TB?
one more comment about home runs. Sorry to talk too much, Brian. We'll pass the mic over to you in just a minute. But
no problem.
Home run. Let me just make a statement on home run props. The best batters in MLB will hit one home run in about 17 to 20 at-bats. At least that's Shohei Ohtani's numbers. He hits a home run about 17 once every 17 at-bats. Now, if you're going to bat 4 to 5 times in a game, 17 at-bats is the equivalent of 4 games, so 4 to 5 games. So Ohtani's chance to hit a home run is about 20% in any given game. That means if you're not getting plus 500 on your bet to hit a home run, it's a sucker bet. Don't bet home run props that are less than plus 500. That's my betting advice for people.
A nice PSS or PSA by the ASSMAN. That's our man Tokyo Brandon letting you know how he's going to be eyeing to play some of these plays. Bri, before we shut things down, get folks out of here and get them heading into the weekend, hopefully with some winners in their pocket. We did have City by the Bay shout. Now, Bryan Leonard is a legend. Much respect. OG. So we pumped the tires for our man Tokyo Brandon, so we have to obviously let you know when the chat is giving you some love. We'll stick with this Padres game, though, because when we asked at the top, hey, what kind of dogs are people looking, a lot of folks thought maybe San Diego could get it done in the first half as a dog, maybe staying away from the full game. City in the Bay was saying, if I'm playing Dodgers, I'm laying the run line. Any thoughts on this game? And we also had some folks talking about the total. That one looks like it's ticking up to 9 as we're standing here. There's still some 8.5. So overall thoughts on the game, first half, sides, anything you got on Padres Dodgers nightcap?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank my family members for joining into the show today. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was very kind of you. In the Dodgers game, I also like the starting pitcher for San Diego, King. He struggled his first outing. He pitched much better last time, but his advanced stats are showing he's a little bit over his head right now. I actually have him on one of my fantasy teams, and I didn't start him tonight because I don't like to throw guys up against this Dodgers offense that is so dominant. So that's one of the situations for myself. But in this price range, yeah, I could see the first 5 being a solid bet there. I don't want to go as long as the full game because I think the Dodgers have the better overall bullpen, but San Diego's bullpen's much improved this year. But the guys that they're probably going to use will not be the guys leading up to a save. And that's the 7th, 8th, and 9th guys. So if they're behind in the game, you get middle relievers, and that's not good if you're playing the underdog. So I do like San Diego. First half, I think, would be a solid bet. And a lot of the other games, unfortunately, like I'm looking at Cincinnati and Chicago White Sox.
Yep.
I'd love to play the White Sox as a home dog, but I don't want to do it with Flexen on the mound. And they have no offense whatsoever. This literally right now, without their top 3 hitters, is the worst offense I've seen in baseball in a long time. So for myself, I can't trust Chicago there. So there's a lot of games I'd like different circumstances on, but I just can't get there.
Yeah, and you can check these guys out over at WagerTalk.com. Maybe a barking dog and a meowing cat there in the first 5 for the San Diego Padres, says our man Bryan Leonard. Also, Eric DeLong in the chat saying he's looking at Trey Turner going over 1.5 in that Phillies game there. So we always appreciate what you're dropping in the chat. Whether you're watching us live or on the rewatch, hop below and let us know what some of your best bets are going to be this evening. We love chopping it up with you down there. And while you're below on the video, why don't you hit that like button? Make sure you hit subscribe as well so you never miss when we're going live here on the YouTube channel, whether we're on Instagram, whether we're on Twitter. You can find us wherever you want to, but on the YouTube channel, make sure you hit subscribe. Big thanks to the gentleman. I'll recap here for you. The best bets, we're looking at Oakland from Brian, laying it on the money line in his big game breakdown. He was making a case for the Kansas City Royals as a live dog. Tokyo Brandon in his big game breakdown was giving you the Rangers at a nice plus money price, and the best bet for him, Mookie going over 1.5 on his hits, runs, and RBIs combined. Huge thanks to the chat. Huge thanks to everyone tuning in and to these two gentlemen. Check them out while you still can over at WagerTalk.com. And Bryan Leonard, if you haven't liked the video yet, go and like every video this guy was on. He was on since we started in the morning with Puck Time, and he's rolled on through each show this evening. Bryan, you earned yourself a well-deserved, terrific weekend.
Well, thank you. And if anybody wants to buy my plays, don't worry about it. You've got all my plays from all the shows today.
Yeah, if you want Bryan Leonard's entire slate, go ahead, TB.
Bryan is the youngest. Bryan is the youngest looking 62-year-old I've ever seen in my life.
just had to work that in there. Yeah, if you want Bryan Leonard's full all-access card, make sure you're subscribed here because you can get it on Puck Time, Wager Talk, and right here on First Pitch. It's what we do here on Wager Talk TV. If you want some more betting content, guess what? You don't have to go far. You want some more MLB betting content? You can check out the links in the description on this video to see our single game videos. And if you want more content, if you're watching on the rewatch, click that video on your screen right this moment and continue getting all the info you need to bet all the sports you love. It's what we do here at Wager Talk TV. Best of luck. We'll see you on Monday, folks.